everybody. It's Friday. And as you can see, the chat is open today to all subscribers. All you have to do is subscribe to Beyond the Trailer right here on YouTube, and you'll be immediately let into the chat. And the reason we're doing that today, I do them occasionally, but you should thank your fellow BTTers because on Wednesday, the members actually requested that you be allowed, we have a subscriber chat to be open to all. Oh, there's Jerome, always so generous, gifting a membership. And if you have a membership, Al Watch gifted a membership. Thank you, Toon Dude 19, for your concern. I'm in a higher ground area, so there isn't too much flooding around me. But some very scary images on the internets today, I must say. I'm surprised they didn't cancel school and stuff like that because it seems unsafe out there. So I cobbled together. Thank you, Dre Films, for gifting a membership. I cobbled together another live stream, and I gotta say, it's pretty freaking solid. I'm particularly happy with the way the graphics turned out. I think this is a particularly beautiful graphics package right here. Thank you, Writer Boy. Thank you, Danny, for gifting memberships. I'm like, it looks a little bit like a comic book, quite frankly, I guess because we're talking about comic book movies. But it just looks like fun. I'm like, oh, that looks great. I have a couple more graphics to add to our conversation. So we have some really good stuff to talk about. I even included one of your tweets, in fact, we're going to discuss today. So the rules, particularly because there are so many of you in the chat who aren't usually in the chat, the way this works is that while I'm discussing a specific story, I probably will not be able to answer your questions while I'm speaking. Oh, happy 30th birthday, Tay! Congrats! Big milestone. But things like that won't happen when we're doing the actual story. So please save particularly your super chats and your member comments, like Whelmed just used that there. Please. Oh, look at everybody wishing Tay a happy birthday. You guys are so sweet. Hey, Ixion. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you're able to participate today. Dreads 5 is going as Cyclops for Halloween this year. That's pretty sweet. I hope your visor looks good. Hey, Tom Barron. Thank you for gifting a membership. So the way this will work is that we will not have any, I can't have side conversations like that during a story. So please withhold anything that you want me to interact with. Of course, share your own comments, interact with each other while I'm talking. But then I'll open up each section to your questions and comments for a little bit right at the end. And then at the very end of the stream, as always, we'll do a 10-minute Q&A where you can ask me anything you'd like. It doesn't have to be related to anything that we discussed today. But please save your off-topic comments for that section. Because, I'm just not going to answer them, but I don't want you to feel that you wasted, if you do a super chat or something, I don't want you to be disappointed. So fair warning. That's right, it's a subscriber chat, everybody. Open to subscribers. And I'll just reiterate it once again. If you'd like to be a part of the chat, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button and you'll immediately be let into the chat. You don't have to be a subscriber for 1 minute or 5 minutes. You just, as soon as you click subscribe, come on in. The water's fine. All right, let's get going. I got some X-Men tea. It's lukewarm tea. We've discussed it before. I have a little hot tea to sprinkle on it. But let's see here. All right, so it's not scorching, but this is our big story. All right. Boop. Oh yeah, the MCU X-Men. They are on the move. Oh look, Thomas Jameson gifted another 50 memberships. Thomas, you're going to push this past June. And I have to say, Thomas was the one, I believe, who specifically first asked for today's stream to be open to subscribers. So he is generous in more ways than one. So Thomas, you are certainly, a fantastic member of this community. Everybody is. Anyone who's a member of the Beyond the Trailer community is valued by me. So thank you. And for those of you who are tuning in and for some reason aren't subscribed, because then you could join the chat, I'm glad you're here anyway. Some of you might not want to interact. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. You do what's good for you. You do what's comfortable for you. All right. So the WGA deal is about to be voted on. The WGA has agreed to it. They had a at the Palladium the other night, they had a big blowout party for WGA members. They were playing rock music. They were getting all excited because they got the deal. And I thought that was a really nice thing for the Writers Guild to do. I'm surprised that no one covered it. I think, I guess it was very private. But I think that's very nice for the writers because they fought so hard. They were on strike the longest, and I think they felt the pain the most. So good for them. But now people can start looking for writers. And word is out in the trades, it broke earlier today, that Marvel has put out the call for writers. I'm like, are you going to hire anyone for rewrites over there? I'd be like, that's what I'd really like you to do, to hire some rewriters and to go back and look at some of the other content that you have that's coming up. Is it really good? Before we move on to a movie that's years away, although I'll talk about why I think they might be hiring a writer now anyway, I'd be like, maybe you should, I don't know, make sure you've dotted your I's and crossed all your T's on the projects that are about to come out. Like, is Thunderbolts in really good shape, right? Like, how's Kang Dynasty coming along? Is Secret Wars actually good? If Secret Wars isn't good, I mean, like, I don't even know what to say to that if that falls through. All right, so, but they put out the call for writers for an X-Men movie. Oh, yay! As a major X-Men fan, oh, thank you for gifting a membership, Paul. As a major X-Men fan, I have mixed feelings on this. I mean, I'm very excited for them potentially to be done right. I mean, I really liked some of the X-Men movies, to be honest with you. Some of them are excellent. They're certainly, I mean, that's one of the reasons I think they're going to get their last hurrah. Kevin Feige started out making the Fox X-Men movies as an assistant to Lauren Shuler Donner, right? But Secret Invasion, and I think some of the other things they've done lately, like She-Hulk and Quantum Mania, that's right, Mary, the Rick and Morty writers, they've just shaken my confidence a little bit in Marvel. I'm just like, maybe you guys get your house in order and then you do the X-Men, quite frankly. That's what maybe I would prefer. Because it's just, although I will say, I have very good Marvel news for you on Monday at midnight when I can tweet about it. But there's something very nice coming up for MCU fans. But, I think that we're really scared. We're really nervous. And I think that the reason this upcoming thing is so good is because of someone who's stewarding it. And that person, I think, is very responsible for the quality. And I don't see anybody doing that for X-Men. I'm very worried about it. So let me talk to you about, I can't say what it is. I'm under strict embargo. I can't say. I wish I could. I can tweet about it on Monday at midnight, and I can review it on Tuesday morning. That's all I can say. I tweeted about it last night. I was so excited. All right, so what they're doing is they're setting up pitch meetings. What's a pitch meeting? Well, what that means is that all these writers get to come in, and Kevin Feige sits down. I don't know if it's Kevin Feige himself. Maybe somebody does the first round. But the writer pitches their idea for X-Men. So that you have to come in with your own ideas, right? Personally, if I were Kevin Feige, I'm surprised he doesn't have more of his own ideas. But if I were Kevin Feige, I would call up all the agencies and I would say, who are your biggest X-Men fans who are writers? And then I would look at their bodies of work and see what the quality of that work was. Now, it's a little bit like asking someone if they're a god, right, in Ghostbusters, who's going to say, yeah, not a big X-Men fan. They're like, I'm sure an agent would be like, Kev, every single one of my clients loves the X-Men. And I'd be like, all right, that's hilarious. Who do you really have? Who said barely an inconvenience? That's funny, Danny. They do those very funny pitch meeting comedy sketches, but it's actually a little bit like that. And unfortunately, sometimes very much like that, considering the quality of the work that we get. But I would be like, I guess the way you can really find out is you could have them come in and I would have a conversation with them about the X-Men. And I would see if they could keep up, right? I'd be like, oh, who's your favorite X-Men? Who do you think doesn't get enough respect? When did you start reading X-Men comic books? Oh yes, thank you for pointing that out. Thank you, Jacques Thompson. I like your artistic profile pic there. Thank you for gifting 5 memberships. So that's what I would do. I'd do a little test. And anyone who couldn't keep up with me, I'd be like, see ya. You are not gonna, you're not gonna get me booted out of Disney. Thank you very much. So if anybody ever asks you to do a pitch meeting, if you're interested in being a writer, that's what it is. You got to come in with ideas. You got to obviously know the landscape of the MCU. But here's the thing. It's a little bit like a college essay. You also have to come in with some very artistic, ridiculous, out of left field idea. They don't want you to be too businessy because I'll tell you this. This is very interesting. I'll give you a little tip. They don't want you to be too businessy because they feel that's their job. So you can't come in and try and fix everything. You have to just be a writer. So you want to be a big X-Men fan. You want to have some you want to have some big ideas, right? Some bold plays that could potentially shake things up. And that's really, I think, what they're looking for. Mika says you also need a pitch deck with aesthetics. You would if you were pitching your own project, Mika, but I do not think that would be appreciated in this scenario because Marvel has a way to do things and they want to do it that way. So I actually would suspect that would be frowned upon. I mean, you would probably have an agent if you were able to pitch at this level. So you could ask your agent. You could say, what should I bring in? What are they expecting? What are you hearing other people are bringing in? I don't want to go first. Let some other people go first. And then you tell me what went on in the room. That's maybe what I would do. So that's kind of how it works. And you should never, by the way, some of the best advice I ever saw was never fall in love with a specific project because you don't know what you're going to get. I think every writer who goes into this room, just like any actor who goes into an audition, their goal should be to impress the person who is hiring, be it the casting director or, hey, Anthony, or be it the producer. Here, Kevin Feige. Just make Kevin Feige like you. So even if he doesn't hire you for X-Men, he brings you back maybe for something else. Like remember Chadwick Boseman auditioned for Drax, right? How stupid was that? But then they remembered him and they were like, that guy was great. Maybe he should be Black Panther, an obviously much better role. So that's really what your goal should be in any meeting, any preliminary meeting. You just really want them to like you. And even if you don't get that specific job, you want to make sure that you are on their radar. Jonathan Hickman's awful, Alchemist. Way over people's heads. I would not hire him. Same reason I'm surprised Tom King is in the writer's room for DC Studios. Just not commercial enough. I do think Tom King has some good ideas. Maybe I'd be like, you can't write any scripts, Tom, but you can give ideas for the script writers. Let's see. All right, we'll see. All right, so they also said in this story, breaking story, what they're hearing, no rush to hire a writer. Oh yeah, the Duffer Brothers, Nick Dean, I agree, the Duffer Brothers would be great. I would have really liked the two guys who did Dungeons and Dragons, but that movie didn't do well enough. And so I would be like, I'm nervous about your ability to sell a movie. I'd be like, I love you guys, but you guys just aren't commercial enough, and I'm not giving you X-Men. So I think Duffer Brothers, that's great. That's a great idea. I would be very happy if the Duffer Brothers were available. And Roy Cohen, I'm so sad. You weren't gifted a membership, but it's a subscriber stream today. Oh, now I feel bad. I hope you get a gifted membership soon, Roy Cohen. But yeah, so I think that those two guys are great. Leroy, Lord and Miller, I think are just too busy at this point. And I think they've built such a big empire for Spider-Verse themselves. I don't know if they can play in Kevin Feige's camp. I think Kevin Feige still wants someone who's like, where he's still clearly the boss. All right, so let me talk to you about the current X-Men plans, okay? I'll remind you of what I've told you before, sprinkle a little new tea in there, just give you a little perspective. This is pretty well known amongst all scoopers. I think I'm gonna have a little something different for you, a little something new. But let me just put it all into perspective. So, Kevin Feige, of course, loves the X-Men, and he loves the original X-Men, who he was there with when those movies were being made. He's the one who snuck Hugh Jackman X-Men comics, which is why Hugh Jackman's first back, baby, in Deadpool 3. And for Secret Wars. Hugh Jackman will be doing both of those movies. And you're going to see a lot of X-Men in Deadpool 3 and Secret Wars. Deadpool 3 is very much setting up Secret Wars. I gave you 2 words earlier this week. That was Noah's Ark. And I saw a couple of sites. It's very nice, picked it up. And Michael McKennis, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. And yes, what you would think, TVA is leading into Secret Wars. I don't even know if Kang Dynasty is still getting made, quite frankly. I haven't heard anything about it. And I don't know. Although I must say, lots of Jonathan Majors coming your way very soon. I gotta be careful. But yeah, I mean, so far, Marvel is not, gonna put anything through the shredder, let's say, because of current events. But things that haven't filmed yet, I think do hang in the balance. I agree with Cool Kev, quite frankly. I think Quantumania wasn't great. I don't think they need to do Kang Dynasty. I think, and also they're so behind, and they have so many other things they have to do. And also, once people see Deadpool 3, they're going to be like, well, I just want to see Secret Wars. I don't need to see anything before that. So, because it's going to so specifically set up Secret Wars. All right, so you got your OG X-Men, and you got your X-Men First Class, right? Who came together, by the way, in the very successful, and I feel pretty darn good movie, X-Men Days of Future Past, which Bryan Singer, did direct, and he brought those two teams together, and I thought that the film turned out pretty good, quite frankly. But anyway, James Mangold, Thomas, no, he's doing a Star Wars movie, remember? And also, I want someone who can do very good action, and good team stuff. I wouldn't do James Mangold. He also did Logan, by the way. And he's all upset about Wolverine coming back, which I think is stupid. We all knew he would come back. All right, so, right, I'll tell you a little something, okay? So I wouldn't be surprised if by the way, okay, so I see a lot of you asking who's coming back. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit. Okay, I'll tell you a little. All right, so I'm pretty sure that James Marsden's coming back, Halle Berry's coming back, and Famke Janssen's coming back. I heard a rumor they were going to all be de-aged, which I'm not happy about because I don't want to see that. I want to see them, I think I'd like to see them today, quite frankly. I don't think they're going to de-age Hugh Jackman, so I don't like that. I haven't heard anything about Rebecca Romijn, even though I would love to see her there. That's interesting, Enter for None. I'll talk about new X-Men in a moment. But anyway, the only people I know about are like the major ones that did a lot of stuff with Hugh Jackman. It would be maybe nice to see Anna Paquin's Rogue, but again, all I've heard is James Marsden, Halle Berry, and Famke Janssen. That's who I've heard. I don't know about anybody else, okay? And then as for X-Men, I did hear that X-Men First Class members were also coming back. I'm not sure who this would be. I would love to see. I think it'll be interesting if they double up on some of them. Jean Grey, Sophie Turner, and Famke Janssen. I would also kind of like to see. I'm forgetting his name. Evan Peters. Evan Peters as Quicksilver. He's so fun. He's one of the best things from X-Men First Class. I don't think Jennifer Lawrence is coming back. I don't know. She's at a stage where she's like, she seems to have lost a lot of her star power. I think No Hard Feelings did okay. So I think, I think Kevin Feige knows people didn't really like her in the role. And I honestly feel it would put a pall over the movie because fans, I think all of us are a little annoyed that her reluctance to go full Mystique really kind of hurt her movies. And then she pulled a Harrison Ford and insisted on being killed off in the last movie. And everybody was like, this was just awful. I would like to see Michael Fassbender and Ian McKellen, although they already kind of both were in X-Men Days of Future Past. I'm not sure about James McAvoy. Again, I haven't heard any specifics about the First Class people. But let me tell you something. All right, let me tell you a little something. I'll add a little something new on here. Put a little something extra. I wouldn't be surprised if the MCU Wolverine showed up, potentially, as early as Deadpool 3. I think there are going to be a lot of, and a couple of other people have reported this, but I can confirm it, that I think there are going to be a couple choices running around Deadpool 3. And if maybe one of them was extremely popular, maybe they'd keep them, right? I think that's a little bit of what's going on. So it's just going to be X-Men all over the place, basically. It's going to be, I think you're going to see original X-Men, you're going to see X-Men Days of Future Class X-Men, and then you're going to see potentially new X-Men run in there. Wouldn't that be great if it was Taron Egerton Spider-Link? I have not heard that confirmed, but when I heard this little T, I was like, Taron Egerton's been taking so many meetings, what if it is? And then if it doesn't work out, they can just be like, oh, he didn't make it, right? Basically, they're going to use the multiverse. That's funny, I don't care, Bear. It's going to be a bub-off. Basically, they're going to use the multiverse to just have lots and lots and lots of X-Men. And then they're going to kind of put a team together from there. Now, what's interesting to me on that point is that they could maybe keep some of these X-Men characters. What if they kept some of them? I don't know. I don't know if I would want them to keep any. But by doing it that way, you know, it's a little bit like when Old Man Logan was from a different universe and then like stuck around, right? And then there were, you know, and they've been doing that with X-23 in the current comics. There's currently an Old Man Laura, old lady Laura, who's running around, who's actually super cool and has a cool white streak in her hair. But yeah, like there, and you know, Danny, you're right. It does sound like James Gunn's soft reboot. And we'll talk about James Gunn in just a moment. That's a perfect way to go into the next story. But yeah, it is a lot like that. It's very much like that. And so James Gunn's like, see, I don't want to hear anything from anybody. But I think that'll be very interesting to see what they decide to do. But I think it's going to be really exciting. I think it's going to be very much like No Way Home, but for the X-Men in the Fox Marvel movies with Deadpool 3. I think it's going to be an extremely successful movie. And I also think it's going to do such a good job setting up Secret Wars. It's going to make it must-watch content for any Marvel fan. And it's going to have serious repercussions. I'm just very excited about it. Kitty, I kind of agree. Zac Efron for Wolverine, I've always kind of liked that. Because he kind of has a weird, funky build now that he kind of looks like Wolverine, right? So we'll see what they decide to do. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this story specifically? Let's see here. I see. Oh, Daryl also loves Laura as Talon, right? Cool, very cool character. Chris, it's going to be a very crowded film, but I think that's great. Remember how crowded Free Guy was? I think you should be thinking Free Guy. Oh, that's a good idea for the poll, Jack. I was like, what kind of poll am I going to do for this? Here we go. I agree. Who said that? That's right, Mish. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 2 billion. Let's do the poll. Okay. What do you want for MCU X-Men? I got to tell you, some of the stuff coming out of Marvel is so bad right now, I don't care if they keep a couple of them, personally. Soft reboot or full reboot? There you go. But you're definitely going to see a lot of them in these 2 movies, which is very exciting. Haunted Autumn, I wish I could tell you Daphne Keane was definitely going to be in the movie, but I haven't heard anything about it. I think it would be really nice. Dana O'Leary says, would Taryn be a younger version of Hugh or completely separate? Well, from what I heard, this was a multiverse situation. So it couldn't be the same guy. The Maximoff Anomaly says, what about Alan Ritchson for Cyclops? You know, I don't know. I would be all for that until I saw him in Fast X. And I was like, whew, he looked like he had so much hair gel in. I was not liking it. I was like, oh, what happened? A full reboot, Andrew, would be like if they just had all new X-Men and they recast everybody. Zookeys, I don't know what's going on with Wanda. I haven't heard anything lately about Wanda. All I know is a whole lot of stuff about the upcoming Agatha show, which I think is getting more niche by the day, which I'm very concerned about. And I mean, Elizabeth Olsen's like drifting away. It's like a disaster. How could they drop the ball on Wanda? I have no idea. Jeremiah says, do you think we will see the original Fantastic Four here or in Secret Wars? You know, I saw that rumor, but I can't confirm it personally. Although I think Ryan Reynolds could get anything done, and I think because of the light tone for him, I think he could do anything. I think it would be very funny. Stephen Turner says, full reboot. We need dark-skinned Storm. But that's the thing, Stephen. They could recast Storm. But what I mean by a soft reboot is they're only keeping some of the people. So they can get a totally new Storm. Let's see here. Josh says, nervous because X-Men is my favorite and Storm is my favorite Marvel character. I want them to get her right and give her a chance to show off her powers and not hold her back like previous X-Men movies. I agree. Although I thought that like for the last couple of times, Storm looked pretty good. Who said that? Wade says hair gel doesn't last. That's funny. That's right. He could take a shower. That's very funny. Let me see here. Jason says, Daniel Radcliffe for Wolverine. I think that would be hilarious. I wouldn't want him to stick around, but I wouldn't mind if he popped in for a cameo. Nathan Paraska says, Hugh Jackman is awesome, but it's time for someone else to take the wheel. No, I agree. Hugh Jackman will not stick around beyond Secret Wars. He just can't. It's not feasible, and he's not going to want to do it. But he will get to play in the MCU. I think that's too tempting for him. Dane says Lashana Lynch would have been a great Storm. Oh, don't count Lashana Lynch out just yet. We'll be talking about her in a matter of months. Let's see here. Podge Durka says, my favorite casting will be Beast. I hope, I don't know. I've never been a big Beast fan, but I'm glad you're excited about it. Where Sheila says, Sheila Tim from Woman King should play Storm. Yeah, anyone in Woman King would be a great choice. That cast was incredible. Austin says, bring back Lana Condor for Jubilee. She had nothing to do. That's true, but I don't know. I don't think she was a very good Jubilee personally, just in my opinion. Duke says, if this movie is R-rated and MCU Wolverine shows up, what would that mean for future X-Men movies in the MCU? Would they have to be R? Would it go back to being PG? I think it depends on the movie, Duke 17. Wolverine is versatile. And just like Deadpool, I think both of them could be in the PG-13 space if they needed to be. Gabriel Reyes says, would love a recast of Iceman, where'd that go, as a contemporary for Tom Holland so they could explore that friendship. That's right. Peter Parker's Fire and Ice friends. He's friends with both Iceman and Johnny Storm, a.k.a. the Human Torch. Love to you in Brazil as well, Gabriel. Susie Girl wants Kiki Lane as Storm. Interesting. All right. Hey, Sebastian, I love you too. All right, let me see what the thing is. Oh, wow, look at this. This is surprising results. Look at that. 70% of you want a full reboot. You don't want any of these people sticking around. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder what they'll decide to do. Maybe it will just be a last hurrah. Would you mind if the character was introduced, like if there was an overlap in the introduction, right? I mean, because I think that's possibly what's going to happen. But, yeah, I don't know. I have to say the Pikachu accountant. I think that Lupita Nyong'o, wow, fantastic. And actually does a pretty good job with her action sequences in the Black Panther movies. I don't think she has the fierceness for Storm. To me, Storm has like a regal, like a sharp, like an Angela Bassett type of quality. And I think Lupita Nyong'o is a little too soft for that. No, I mean, she's a great actress, but I just don't see it. Chris says, Gambit is my favorite X-Men. I need him done right. It's funny you say that. Hey, thanks, Kyle. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up, played by a certain dancer. Let's see here. Zuki says, we stand and live for Lashana Lynch. Oh, me too. I've become such a big Lashana Lynch fan. I love her. Roll the Bryce is not a fan of Keke Palmer as Rogue. That's the fun thing with these movies, just at least here, they can play around with the multiverse and you can have different versions of the characters. So, it would be nice if Keke Palmer got to do it at least briefly. All right, let's move on to the next story in just a minute. Eero wants to keep James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. I don't know. I'm ready to move on, quite frankly. I mean, the only person I feel I thought Sophie Turner was a pretty good Jean Grey, quite frankly. Janelle Monáe for Storm? I think she also is a little soft. She'd be a very tiny Storm. She's like, that's a tiny ball of lightning. And then Tammy says, Grace, do you feel nervous that Feige is using the multiverse to avoid making decisions at this point? Oh, interesting, Tammy. Shots fired. I think right now it works because I think that chaos is very Deadpool-y. It's very, very Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe to a degree, so it borrows off of that. And I think right now he's just focusing on making really good Deadpool 3 and Secret Wars movies. And the thing I wanted to add is that maybe he has this writer being brought on now to help, guide it and maybe fold in some of the X-Men that they're going to be using. So maybe that's why they're hiring somebody so early. I mean, it seems like it's way too early to hire an X-Men writer, considering how many movies have to go. I mean, Deadpool 3 is still on hold. It hasn't finished filming. Secret Wars doesn't even have a director. So how on earth are you going to have anything with X-Men? All right, let me move on. Whelm says, I think Kevin Feige has too many action figures to play with. I would agree with that. And on that note, let's move on to the second story of the day, because I think James Gunn has too many action figures to play with. Boop! Oh no, I covered up James Gunn's face a little bit. Let me try and fix it. Oh no. Oh no. Can I move it? Ah. Oh well. All right. Well, you know who it is. Okay, so I got a tweet when I said this is what we were going to be discussing, and I thought it was pretty funny. So here's the tweet from Danny. So funny. And Danny J said, praying this isn't another Gunn is using the same actors. I thought it was a full reboot. Oh, I'm so confused. Oh, so everyone can grasp in their brains Charlie Cox is still playing Daredevil, even though it's not the same Daredevil. Oh no, I'm so confused. And I was like, that's a solid point, Danny J. Let me make it bigger so you can see it for just a minute. I was like, that's a solid point. So I think that's fair. And also what we just talked about with the X-Men. So James Gunn's like, well, maybe. But here's my rebuttal. Oh, by the way, speaking of tweeting, apparently James Gunn hasn't been saying anything for the past few months because of the Writers Guild. Isn't that crazy? Because of the Writers Guild strike. And I mean, it was very quiet. But now he's back. He's back and he's tweeting up a storm. So here's my rebuttal to this comment. Everybody loves Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. And even Vincent D'Onofrio, when everybody saw how he came back, everybody was like, nah. And I think people are very worried about Charlie Cox coming back as well. But I think that Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio were fan favorites. And I don't really know how fan favorite this group is. Although, to be fair, I will say, did I forget to boop? Boopity boop boop. I will say that if Viola Davis stuck around as Amanda Waller, I don't know how many people would be that upset, quite frankly. I think people would be like, that's okay, because everybody loves Amanda Waller so much. She's awesome. But yeah, so let me talk about the characters that he said are going to come back. So thank you for your comment, Danny J. I thought it was great. So I would like to keep, I don't know, I think Viola Davis, she's acting a lot. I think she looks really cool in the new Hunger Games. But I think I don't know how much range she has. And I really didn't like how James Gunn depicted Amanda Waller. The fact that Amanda Waller, that her subordinates could knock her out with a golf club, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure would have killed her, but that she would keep them employed was extremely unrealistic to me. I was like, I'm pretty sure Amanda Waller would have those two people killed. I'm just saying, that's what I think she should do. So I didn't really like the writing on that. I think that James Gunn, Amanda Waller is too often played for the fool, and Amanda Waller should never be played for the fool. So I don't really like the way he writes the character. Now we'll do Peacemaker last, Niall. Now as for Blue Beetle, I'm sorry to say that even though I loved Mara Duena in the role, I just don't think the movie was successful enough to keep him around. I'm sorry. I maybe Warner Brothers this time could, they didn't do it for Leslie Grace off of Batgirl, but maybe they could give Mara Duena a role somewhere else, right? I thought that the movie was too Spy Kids. I wouldn't want it. Another simplistic Grace. I'm so sorry. It's a subscriber stream today. I don't like people feeling bad. They think they got a membership. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. So anyway, I wouldn't keep Blue Beetle. I'm sorry to say, I just wouldn't keep him. I'm glad some of you liked the movie. I enjoyed it as well. But, I mean, we just can't, this isn't a love fest. We got to cut some people. It's too much. And then with Peacemaker, the problem is that he's in the upcoming Mortal Kombat DLC pack. So you don't want to say he's not in the MCU anymore, the DCU anymore, right? I mean, John Cena even did the voice for the character. So you're like, Although I have to say, I'm seeing John Cena around everywhere too. He's in the upcoming Argyle movie, and he's basically playing Peacemaker, just without the toilet on his head. Hey, Leroy. And also, as you know, I did not really, like, from what I know of the Peacemaker show and from the clips that I saw of it, I mean, I read the scripts. I read part of the scripts because I didn't like them, so I didn't finish reading them. And the show just wasn't for me, so I just stayed away from it. And to me, I think I don't appreciate the crudeness of that, and I don't really know if that needs to be in. I would hope that James Gunn's DC, now that he's in control of the entire thing, would be a little bit more tasteful. I mean, I don't think that's going to be the case. But, I would hope it'd be a little more mainstream. And I think by keeping some of these characters, for instance, he also said, oh yeah, and I'm also going to keep Vigilante, who I know a lot of people liked. I thought Vigilante was so cliche. I thought Vigilante just like regurgitated Wikipedia entries of stuff. I did not care for that character at all. So it's not just these three characters. That's right, Jason. The show just isn't for me. I'm glad some people enjoyed Peacemaker. I respect John Cena for doing the voice for the Mortal Kombat character. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's a very nice thing to do. So I'm glad that he's doing it. J.K. Simmons, by the way, is doing Omni-Man, also for the same DLC. And that's just really cool for those guys to do it. And so you're like, nah, now we're kind of stuck. What are we going to do? But yeah, so I think that, this isn't the only three. It's classic James Gunn. We all knew from the beginning he was going to keep his friends. Like, we just all knew it. And it's the truth. And it's exactly what he's doing. So, and it's always his friends and his people. Like, I think this would work a little bit more, and I think people wouldn't have an issue with it if he was keeping some people that he didn't cast, quite frankly. I mean, some of you are bringing it up. Thank you, Aluatabi David. Thank you for gifting a membership. You have a very cool avatar pick. But, I heard that rumor that Gal Gadot might stay. I mean, then why didn't he say something when she said she was going to stay? Quite frankly. If she stays, I would be even more upset because part of the problem is the drama. Like, why don't you just, Resident Justice, that's right, he didn't cast Mara Blue Beetle, but I think he doesn't want to be, I don't think James Gunn wants to fire Mara. I think a lot of people talked about the representation of that movie, and I think James Gunn just feels he can't take the hit. So he's like, yeah, he could pop up somewhere. And, that's what I want to talk about in a moment. But also let me say, I think we're all pretty sure he's going to keep Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, particularly because he was saying she was the best actress he ever worked with, which I thought was very insulting to every actress he worked with previously, particularly because a number of them stood by him during his scandal, his tweet scandal where he got fired from Marvel, and a number of women stood by him. Elizabeth Banks did interviews with him, sitting with him for Brightburn at the exact same time. And he was like, Margot Robbie's the best actress I ever worked with. And you're like, what about all that? What about, I think particularly Zoe Saldana and Elizabeth Banks. I thought that was like really not a cool thing to do to them. Because he could have just said one of the best actresses I've ever worked with, and it would have been exactly the same. So anyway, yeah. But I don't think Margot Robbie didn't really work as Harley Quinn. I know she has her fans, but it was nothing like Barbie. Barbie was pink lightning. Oh, it was fantastic. And now Margot Robbie has her billion-dollar movie, quite frankly. And so I think I would love to see Margot Robbie shift her focus to getting an Oscar, although she might get one for Barbie. But we know that's very important to her. She really wants an Oscar. And I can understand that. I think Margot Robbie is turning into be a fantastic businesswoman, and I think she's building a wonderful career for herself. And I hope she has the sense to say, Harley Quinn just didn't work. I mean, Harley Quinn served its purpose for her. It definitely leveled her up and allowed her to get Barbie, but I think she should move on, quite frankly. And I'm glad let me do a poll. Let's do a poll for Margot Robbie. Should Margot Robbie stay as main Harley Quinn? Because remember, you're getting Lady Gaga, right, as Joker 2 Harley Quinn. And then some of you talked about Anya Taylor-Joy. What if we got they're supposed to be getting a Harley Quinn in the Matt Reeves universe, which is so stupid. We're going to have 3 Harley Quinns. I don't know what they're doing over there. But yeah, yes, keep her. Get someone new. And then another one, her and other Harleys and other new Harleys. You know, basically a multiverse. There you go. Who said that? I agree, Michael Mark. Kaylee Cuoco live action would be fantastic. By the way, anyone can vote in a poll. You don't have to even be a subscriber or a member. Anyone can vote in the poll who's watching. So let's see what happens. I'm excited for Lady Gaga's performance. I think she looks phenomenal. And I agree. I think Anya Taylor-Joy would be fantastic for the Matt Reeves verse. Now, James Gunn, while you guys are voting on that, Jason says, here's my thoughts on PM, no matter... Oh, I can't. I'm sorry. That's not right now, Jason. I'm sorry. I got to keep going with the story. So James Gunn also clarified that nothing is canon. He can keep the actor, but he doesn't have to keep any of their storyline until Creature Commandos hits and then Superman Legacy after that. He said Creature Commandos is like an appetizer, and then Superman Legacy is when his universe really arrives. What do you know with the movie that he directed? So on that note, we've already seen that he's casting a ton of DC superheroes in Superman Legacy, right? He's basically going to do his version of like a Justice League, basically, or a JSA. And so on that note, I think that you could have a lot of small superhero cameos popping up all over his DC world. And then maybe that's what he means about Blue Beetle. Maybe Mariduena will run in, fly by, give a quick assist, and then he's out of there. Which I actually have to tell you, I don't find particularly satisfying. Marvel has started to introduce too many characters at once, and it has not worked out well for them. So I really feel like, I think what James Gunn is going to do is I think he's going to make a DC movie that hardcore DC fans and James Gunn fans will probably like. And I think it's going to be very Guardians of the Galaxy. I think James Gunn can do one thing. And I think, as we saw from when he did Suicide Squad, right? It was Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think that James Gunn is just going to do Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's going to be for DC. And I have to tell you, I didn't like the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought the second one was pretty good, and then I thought the third one was excellent. And I loved the holiday special for Guardians of the Galaxy. So, and they made a lot of money. So the question is, will this translate well for DC? Is that what people want out of a DC cinematic universe? Maybe that's the best way to bring in all these other characters that are not Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, which they've been having a real problem with. Maybe it'll work out. But when he says he's keeping somebody, that might be what he means. So keep that in mind. I don't think he's promising somebody getting their own movie or their own show, although Amanda Waller's, of course, supposed to have a show. Although I don't know if nothing, as you can see, there's been no movement on anything, although, of course, it's been partially because of the writer's strike. But the writer's strike and then the actor's strike, so nobody could be cast. So let's see if his DC space thing starts taking up momentum. Let's see. I'd love it. I'd love some news stories to cover, quite frankly. I'd be thrilled. I don't care how it turns out, quite frankly, because I'll just cover however it goes. Hooray, Sadie Creekwood. I don't know what you're excited about, but I like your enthusiasm. That was cute. All right, let me close this poll, and then you can ask me any questions you want about this story. And then we'll go on to the third story, and then we'll do the Q&A. So 65% want someone new, but that's pretty big, but it's not a mandate. 22% say keep her, just her, and 11% want multiple Harleys. So that, yeah, it's not a mandate in either direction. All right, let's see here. Hey, Brooklyn. That's very nice of you to say. Carlos says they could really use some new characters like Punchline to give them exposure. I don't know, though. I don't really think Punchline worked out, though. I was excited about Punchline, but she didn't really work. Danny says, Grace, you prefer a full reboot, correct? I have to tell you, I really do. I would get rid of Viola Davis. I would get rid of everybody. I think the problem is that, the MCU can afford to take some chances because they were in such good shape. But yet, look how that's worked out for them. I think that DC is such a mess, and I still to this day feel the right move was to build off of Matt Reeves' universe. I don't care how he feels about it. Whose toys are these? They're mine, Warner Brothers Discoveries. I think that would have been the right move, but they didn't do it. And it's too bad. I think that it isn't sturdy enough ground to be keeping some of these people. And then also, I think James Gunn, the cronyism is the way I would say it. The cronyism, I think, is just, it's hard to reconcile. Like Kevin Feige is really good at getting the credit for everything that he does, and lately, obviously the blame. But you don't think of Kevin Feige. He's not constantly in your mind when you're watching Marvel content. But I think James Gunn so inserts himself in there by being like, oh, I'm right off camera because there's my wife and there are all my buddies, that you're like, it's not DC. I guess that's what I would say. I think what it is it doesn't feel like DC. It feels like James Gunn's DC. And I think that's totally intended. You know what? And if Warner Brothers will let him do it, I don't blame him. I had a friend who was like, James Gunn's just racking up paydays until this train comes to a stop, right? So, that's why, because he gets paid for every job that he does. So, that's my only issue with it. It's James Gunn's DC. It's not DC. Alwatch said, you said he used the Authority as a cover and he might not make it at all, but he put it on the list of homework for the future DCU. I bought the damn thing. I'm going to be upset. Well, let's see. I think he's going to say, I think it was a very clever misdirect, so I couldn't be too upset about that. And the Authority is a good comic. So at the very worst, you read a good comic. That's funny, Vidtopia Entertainment. At this point, James Gunn should just make Scooby-Doo 3 and be done with it. That's pretty funny. And if you read his original Scooby-Doo script, some of it leaked recently, some of the ideas, it's very James Gunn. He does the same thing all the time. Robbie Zeke says James Gunn is doing Adam Sandler vacation movies, but for DC instead of Netflix. That's funny, although I do think they're of higher caliber. I do think the stuff is well made. Honestly, I do think that, this stuff has been good. But again, it's James Gunn's DC. It has as much James Gunn in it as it does DC. No Dreads, Brave and the Bold is not a cover for something else. Although I really am curious what they're going to do after the Flash bombed so hard. If they're really going to keep that director, because Andy Muschietti, because it just went so bad. Nicola says, what about Jason Momoa? Are they going ahead with Lobo? I would suspect that they are, because Lobo is such a James Gunn character. He recently tweeted about bizarre DC characters, like some book that came out. And he wrote the foreword for it, and I was like, that's so James Gunn. All in the Game says, how is 65% not a mandate? Well, to me, that's still too close to 50%. To me, a mandate would have to be like 80% or more. Maybe 70, but I think 65, I'm still feel you're close to half. So I wouldn't call it a mandate. Jackson Thomas says, how is this at all different from what Gunn has said in the past? That's a great question. I think, to be fair, it hasn't really been different from what he's overall said. I think the issue is that there continues to be a lack of clarity and there's a trickle of information instead of just saying, I think it would be better if James Gunn just said, okay, here's every actor that's in the DCU, the Snyderverse, right? And here's everyone that I'm keeping and not keeping. If he would just settle it. I think the wondering who's going to stay and who's not going to stay is just frustrating. I guess if I can't get a full reboot, I would at least like a clean break. Because it would stop the drama, quite frankly. Hi, Doomed by Dooms. That's a funny name. Honey, we can't get a Lex Luthor casting until SAG settles their strike, which we'll talk about in a moment. Tony, I didn't see Daisy Jones in the 6, but that's off topic. Hi, Domenicon, Scott. We'll do shout outs at the very end. Love is a Muse. I would love for Poison Ivy to be in Swamp Thing. Bye, Logan. Great name for today's stream. Jessica Garcia says, as long as the movies are good. I agree with that. Although they also have to make a lot of money to warrant the budgets. They have to perform at the level that a DC movie would, because there's no other reason to have the franchise and to spend that kind of money on the films. Hey, Plastic Stud. Oh, what a great name. That's hilarious. That's very funny. I'm glad you could join today's chat. Ricardo Sanchez thinks Aquaman 2 will be great. I wish I had your faith. I'm nervous. Vader's Pet Pig says, Grace, wouldn't Gunn be out if Zaslav sells next year? Not necessarily. It would be totally up to the new owners to what they wanted to do, quite frankly. Miles, I'm glad you made the live stream. So, James Gunn would have to obviously, hopefully, show some success metric, and he'd have to share his ideas and pitch the new team to keep him. MP Gray says, James Gunn seems like he just wants to be a creative and not a suit. We need someone to regulate, not create. I couldn't agree more. That's what Peter Safran's supposed to be doing, but I don't think Peter Safran wants to live and breathe DC. Oh, Taylor Lewis says, got a membership today. So thankful. Do you think at this point Gunn is purposefully causing drama to get more chatter for his DC? No, I think he's trying to protect himself. Just like it's James Gunn's DC, I think James Gunn wants to protect his image. So I think that, a lot of what you see is him wanting to not fire anybody, not to upset any fans. And so, but I think you can't really have your cake and eat it too. Logan RDS, thank you for gifting a membership. And Simeo's okay says this is going to be way too confusing for general audiences. I think that's true. And also, I do think that general audiences are getting superheroed out. I think there's no denying it. I think they really are. And I think that DC, like Marvel, is already making people sick. Like, I can't eat another bite of this stuff, right? Like, I will say that, like, if there was an upcoming show that people were excited about, one of the things that helps the show, maybe, is that, at least from what I've seen, it doesn't play like a superhero show so much. Right? That's kind of interesting, maybe. And I think that Gunn makes superheroes even more superhero-y. He really leans into the spandex. And I think that people are going to be like, I'm so full and stuffed from Marvel, I just can't take any more of the stuff. I don't care how good it is. And I feel that's a problem. Oh, Prime says, Grace, I've been watching you for over 6 years. I genuinely hope you become one of the greatest critics and or journalists of all time. What a nice thing to say, Prime. That was very kind of you to say. Thank you. Oh, let's see here. I think we're pretty good to move on to the next story in a minute. Oh, Logan says, I have never made the live show. I'm so happy to be here at the community. You brighten my rough days. I don't know if you realize how much you help. What a nice thing to say, Logan. I'm so glad you could make today's live stream and get a chance to interact live. And I'm really glad you enjoy the streams even when they're not live. You guys are all sweethearts. And Ike says, I was gifted membership in the last stream. I'm a first-time member and long-time subscriber. Thanks for the gift and the years of awesomeness, Grace. Big up to the best YouTube community. Aww. All right, let me move on to the next story. Okay, hold on. Story number 3. Boom, baby. All right, 1 down, 1 to go. The writer's strike is pretty much resolved. But now we have to resolve the actor's strike to truly get Hollywood back up and running. So it was announced just the other day that the AMPTP and the studios, basically, and SAG-AFTRA have set a meeting. They are going to sit down with each other. They're not wasting any time. They're going to sit down on Monday. Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And executives will be in attendance. So that means they're going to hit the ground running, right? I think Iger and Zaslav and Sarandos and Donna Langley all feel they're like, ooh, we're on a roll. We make deals. We close strikes. Let's go. Let's go. They're like, let's do 2 for 2, baby. You are a member, actually, Oliver. So that's what they're hoping to do. So I think they're going to be really working hard to get this actors' strike resolved. But the actors' strike, hey, Saxy, the actors' strike is a little bit complex to solve. Now, I think the residuals, they're probably going to work a lot off of what the WGA got, but they have a lot of little things that have to be worked on that could be very expensive, quite frankly. Like, for instance, they're asking for a meal break penalty increase. What is a meal break penalty increase? Well, that means whenever you don't give your actors a meal break, the union insists they get a meal break in the middle, meal breaks throughout the day. So if you don't give them the meal break, if you want to work through the meal break for other reasons, you have to pay a penalty. And so they want to charge even more. So that's kind of like that's one thing they have to negotiate. Then also, they also have relocation allowances. What's that? Well, anytime a show shoots in location, let's see it shoots in Canada, right? Like, so their actors have to move to Canada to be on the show. So that's a big thing. And they want to increase the allowance for that because the studio will help pay for you. You know, they'll relocate their leads and then they'll hire a lot of local actors. Like, for instance, some people noticed that for Barbie, while the lead actors were in some cases American, like they shipped in Margot Robbie and, well, she's Australian, but Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling and Michael Cera and Will Ferrell and America Ferrera, they were all shipped to London. However, a lot of the Barbies and Kens were played by British actors who already live in London, in the London area, and can easily commute to set. Issa Rae, that's right, Mika, thank you. She and Dua Lipa and John Cena, although I think John Cena was in the area, so he's like, I'll do it. But yeah, so that's like something there. And then also I told you they kind of want to be paid to audition, which is stupid. I'm like, no, you're never going to get it, so we'll just sit here forever if you don't like it, you know? Oh, is Dua Lipa British? I didn't realize that. No wonder she's in Argyle, the new Matthew Vaughn movie. So very, very interesting. Now, I think that the Screen Actors Guild is under intense pressure to wrap this strike up because all of Hollywood needs to get back to work. And they're now they're the only thing holding it up. So everyone's going to be like, time for you to make a deal because then we could go back to work. The Teamsters, Yahtzee, everybody wants to go back to work. So we'll see what they decide to do. I do suspect that this could be at the latest wrapped up by the end of the month, which means that Hollywood was right all along. It ended in October, which I think is hilarious. So next time they tell us when they think the strike is going to end, we'll believe them. They'll be like, we think it's October. And you'll go, all right, it is October. I mean, it's crazy that it actually worked out that way. So we'll keep an eye on this. I think the fact that the executives are sitting down to the meeting right now, though, to me says it could be done by mid-October. It might take 1 to 2 weeks. I think they could probably settle it in 1 to 2 weeks. Wouldn't that be great if they settled it? I thought that would be fantastic. 1 second. Just give me a second here. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Alrighty. Any questions about this before we move over to the Q&A? Joshua says, Grace, to be honest with you, I feel like the studios want to end the strike because the fall shows are coming back on and that people are watching the shows. Well, there are no fall scripted shows because of the strike, Joshua. I think they want to make sure they can have maybe mid-season shows. And I think they really need to get these movies back in production, quite frankly. Danny, actors like Tom Cruise are not involved in the meetings. I think some showrunners for the Writers Guild started to call in. Some writers like Kenya Barris were like, and Noah Hawley, some showrunners were like, you got to start moving this strike along. And I don't know if any actors have tried to push the needle. I think acting is a different type of job than being a showrunner. Celestial says there are already digital doubles for actors, so if that's made with AI or by digital artists, what's the difference? I think the question is who has the ownership of the digital double? How long can it be used for? What's the compensation for the digital double to the original person? I think things like that are all extremely important. Hey, Trey Dog. Tedder Tot says, what will happen to the dollars donated by actors during the strike? Will those be returned? They've pretty much all been distributed because there are so many actors who can't make rent and they have other expenses and they have to apply for a small grant. I think they get about anywhere from $1,500 to $6,000 like a month. And even with all the money that was donated, I think they burned through it pretty fast because of so many people needing assistance. Ethan says, will Wicked make its November 2024 date? Oh yeah, that's really far away. I think that'll make that for sure. Connor says, what movies and shows can come back with just WGA? Well, everything can come back in a development and writing stage, right? You know, when you can start getting the project going, like these X-Men meetings can start. But as for shows, what can come back is like the talk shows. Apparently Saturday Night Live is under the same kind of a situation. Anything like that can come back. Thanks, Danny. I reviewed a lot this week. Okay, I think you guys are ready for the Q&A. All right. All right, Q&A. 10 minutes of Q&A. You can ask me anything you'd like until 4:48. Mika says, what are your thoughts on the Gen V low interest? Yeah, I feel bad about it. I'm not surprised. I don't think the show is particularly well advertised. I don't think they made it very clear that it was part of The Boys. But I'm hoping that it picks up steam. Because, you know, The Boys wasn't very big out of the gate, and now it's huge. So I'm hoping that, you know, it's just, you know, the beginning. Jeremy, we can't talk about those Ahsoka Week 2 ratings until Movie Math on Sunday. But I was tempted. To throw it in today's stream, but I was like, no, Movie Math needs it. So we'll talk about it then. Jonathan Yarrington says, cake or pie? Oh, who could choose? It's Sophie's choice. Roll the Bryce says, what do we have to do to get you to watch Buffy? There's nothing you can do, I'm afraid. It's too old, but there's no reason for me to watch Buffy. I got too much other stuff to watch. I got Upload Season 3 screeners. I have other screeners I'm burning through. Spiderlink says, what's your favorite Disney World resort? Ooh, I like the monorail resorts. The Grand Floridian, the Contemporary, and the Polynesian. Carson Johnson says, are you still going to review the Eras Tour movie? You know, I don't know about that anymore, Carson. I actually might not, because there's a big Disney anniversary special on that evening. I got too much other stuff now that I'm covering. That weekend's very busy for me. I don't know if I'm going to review the movie. The Linda says, what are you having for dinner tonight? Oh, I'm having roast chicken. My favorite, roast chicken with almonds and Parmesan cheese and probably a salad. Oh, I'm living it up. Friday night, baby. And maybe some blueberries for dessert. It's not a cheat day. Fatine, House of the Dragon is supposed to come back, I think, next year. Hater, I'm definitely going to review The Exorcist. I'm seeing it next week on Tuesday. I'll watch, I did watch The Amazing Race. Oh, yes, and they had a coda father and son. And I would not have eaten those bugs. No way would I have eaten those bugs. But The Amazing Race continues to be an incredible show. I've never had blueberry pie, Paul Brunel. You know, I once had strawberry pie. Someone told me about strawberry pie, and I was like, you're kidding. There's no way that's a real thing. And I went to a Bob's Big Boy on the side of the highway. I was driving to Pittsburgh. I think it was a Bob's Big Boy, and they had strawberry pie. I think the strawberry pie I know about is Bob's Big Boy and Eaton Park in Pittsburgh. But I think this was Bob's Big Boy, and I was like, this is delicious. I think it was full of sugar, but it was delicious. Let's see here. Hold on, I'm going back. I saw I missed some questions. Steven says, do you see about streaming studios creating a united organization to focus on lobbying politicians? I did see that, Steven. I think streaming services are here to stay. I don't know what they're going to look like, but I think that, you know, I think network and cable television are going to go away, and streaming services are going to deliver their own content to you directly, to the consumer. How that's done exactly, I'm not sure. And what the price point situation will be, I'm not sure. But that's really what they're moving towards. That's right, Danny. I love me some pecan pie. Tila Rose, I will review Killers of the Flower Moon. My press screening for that is next week. Let's see here. DJ Verica says, thoughts on Jodie Turner-Smith for Storm. Love her for that role. And she's gorgeous. She was in that, the Gray Man movie, actually. No, was it? No, it seemed like the same movie. It's so embarrassing. The Murder Mystery 2. She was in Murder Mystery 2, the Adam Sandler movie, and she looked stunning. She's great. Gigi Rollum says, hey Grace, I just want to say that I started my 3rd major at university, so besides my 6-day-a-week job, I haven't had much time to participate, but whenever I can, I always watch your videos. Thanks, Gigi. It sounds like you're working up a storm there. Good for you. You're going after your dreams. I can't believe you're working a 6-day-a-week job, though, and have 3 majors. You're a dynamo. Sean, I don't think I'm going to watch What We Do in the Shadows either. I only have so many hours in the day, my friends. Marcus, I thought the Argyle trailer looked fantastic, but it really looked like a streaming movie to me. Not to say I won't see it in theaters, because Sam Rockwell as an action star is pretty freaking awesome in my opinion. However, I feel the VFX on it are so awful, I'm a little shocked. Wolfgang says, Grace, have you considered making merch with your catchphrase, quite frankly? I'm not aware that I say that a lot. I do like saying it, quite frankly. And I saw, were you the one saying quite frankly all the time in the chat earlier? I'm glad you're having fun, Wolfgang. I'm glad you're enjoying the chat. Brian Pasia, I've never been to Hawaii. I have some family members who've been to Hawaii and they said wonderful things about it, but I wish that I could. I would love that. Mr. Bub says, what's your go-to casual show to watch? Well, I'm done with all my sitcoms. I think I'm sitcommed out. I think now Fall TV is back though. I like The Amazing Race. I like The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I like $1 Million Listing LA when that's on. And I also like Family Guy and The Simpsons. So that's kind of what I watch like for fun. I can just turn my brain off. Damani Level says, what are your thoughts about the Wish trailer? I gotta tell you, I think that movie's gonna bomb. We'll see. I mean, I know that headline came out today that so many people watched the trailer, but I gotta tell you, I just don't think that movie looks good to me. Ernie Ramirez says, hi Grace, what is the one thing that warms your heart the most? That's such a cute question. Seeing how nice all of you are. That is really nice. Cosmics, what are you talking about, imposter syndrome? What do you mean? Oh, it's CJ's having Chinese for dinner. That sounds delicious. I wish I could eat that. Let's see here. Jordan says, do you have any weekend movies planned? I'm going to see The Creator again. I'm really looking forward to it. Kareem says, Grace, cats or dogs? I don't really want either, quite frankly. My parents might get a dog. I've never had a pet like that. So I don't know how it's going to change my life, even though it won't live with me. But I will see this dog. We'll see how it turns out. Ivan says, first super chat, Janelle Monáe is Mystique? No, I like that actress from Extraction. I think she'd be a better Mystique, but I do like Janelle Monáe. Nick says, hi Grace, just wanted to give a shout out because you're so great. And it finally happened to me. Oh, Thomas Jameson gave you a membership. That's awesome. Nick, thank you so much, and I'm glad you got a membership. Ooh, Adil loved The Creator. That's awesome. Let me see here. I don't know what kind of dog my parents are going to get, Matthew. I haven't been able to get like a firm idea. But, it's not my dog, so it's not. I have no say in it. Leroy says, I only noticed your let's see here as your most used phrase. Really? That's funny. Parker Warm says, maybe you could watch Buffy and the content gap from the strikes. But I don't really want to watch Buffy. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to watch it. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I'm glad you guys liked it so much, but it just doesn't appeal to me. Hi, Luis. Hi, Ronnie. Let's see here. Carlo Emanuel says, you just gave me the best news with Upload Season 3. I'm so happy. I hope it's good. I haven't started my screeners yet. I just got them yesterday. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer franchise is getting a new spin-off audio series starring several members of the original cast. Yeah, all due respect to Buffy, Carlo. I understand that Buffy has huge fandom, and it was a very popular show back in the day. And that's awesome that this thing is coming back. But it's just not for me. Buck's Basement says, Grace, I'm assuming that you'll watch One Piece Season 1 closer to when Season 2 comes out? Maybe. We don't need another Mario situation. You know, I don't know. I got to really see what my schedule is like. But people sure do love One Piece. And I think I saw reviews did pretty well for it. So maybe I will. Oh, that's right, Chico. I love Shark Tank as well. And I will watch Castlevania. Blake, I'm so glad you liked Castlevania. I really wanted to watch it early to be able to review it, but I can see that like no one's talking about it, so I guess I made the right call there. I decided to lean into Gen V instead. But I would like to watch Castlevania at some point. Bizzle Fries says I watch Castle. I say quite frankly a lot. Really? That's funny. Hey Jay, I do have some merchandise that says boop. Twink says not to go to Hawaii. Well, not right now, obviously, because they're still recovering. Oh yeah, you know, Danny, I am going to try that Frasier show. I'm going to try the new Frasier, just because it's a half-hour sitcom. I think it's probably going to be god-awful, but let's see here. I think I'm caught up. Oh, Deandra says, thoughts about Disney Wish and its lack of marketing. The movie. How successful do you think it will be? As I said, I don't think it's going to do well. Deandra, I'm sorry to say. But, I would love to be pleasantly surprised. Disney sure could use a win with their traditional stuff. But it just, to me, I think people who like it, to me, Wish is like Disney Animation's The Marvels. I don't see either having broad appeal, but as long as the people who are supposed to like it really love it, the people it's made for, like it's targeted at, well then, that's great. I hope they didn't spend too much money on either one, but I know they did. Abhishek says, been following your videos for years now. Love the positivity, advice, and kindness you bring each day for thousands of people. You're like Ted Lasso. That's the nicest thing you could have said. What a nice thing to say. Thank you. I love it. I get a little snarky sometimes. So the fact that you guys think I'm so nice makes me feel very nice about that. Thank you. You can see the kindness beneath the snark. Celestial says, with the strike demands, do you think studios will now lean more towards unscripted content since their budgets are generally lower? No, I think you'll see a mix of it. You know that naked dating show? I thought it was hilarious that it was #1 on Max. I'm like, David Zaslav's laughing all the way to the bank. He's like, I know what people want to see. They want to see trash. I gotta tell you, sometimes I enjoy trash. I mean, the naked dating show is a little too trashy for me, but like Bravo level trash, that's the sweet spot in my opinion. I love that. Whelm says, do we have any whispers of Julia returning to Max soon? That's right. Julia's coming back soon. And you know what else I'll enjoy? Gilded Age Season 2. I love that show. I'm definitely watching that. I can't wait for it. Great show. All right. I'm almost got to go to shout outs. Let me just see if I missed anything. Okay. I think I did all. Oh, Leroy says, you made my day after my shoulder biopsy. Oh, yeah, you said they found something. What do you think of Paul Thomas Anderson as a writer only for X-Men? Oh, well, he's too artistic. That's like bringing in Alfonso Cuarón to direct Secret Wars. Fingers crossed for you, Leroy. Cosmic says, following what I said earlier, I feel like I don't belong here at this school, yet I've worked so hard to be here. Oh, Cosmics, for those of you who don't know, is at film school. Cosmics, you just started. Don't feel that way. That's crazy. Don't feel that way at all. I'm telling you, you just got to put that out of your mind. Just focus on the work. Don't get in your headspace. Don't you have an advisor? Don't you have like a teacher advisor who's supposed to be overseeing you? You have a great weekend too, that guy you like. I love it. Let's see here. Marvelous Jack says, Thomas Galatzian is Human Torture Iceman. Ooh, he's not bad casting as either one. I did watch True Blood, Writer Boy. I loved it. I'm going back. Oliver Probst is my first super chat ever. Thanks again for the membership. And thank you, Grace, for all your great work. Oliver, welcome. I'm glad you got a membership. Hold on. Okay, I think I'm caught up here. Okay. All right, now, just for like 2 minutes, I'm only doing subscriber questions. Members, I'm sorry, but you guys can ask a question at any time. So I really want to make sure that some members, because they can't be here that often, can get their questions answered. Like Mo, who says, hey Grace, thoughts on Lily Gladstone possibly being the first Native American to win an Oscar for Best Actress for Flower Moon, beating out Emma Stone. Lots of love from Ireland. Hi Mo, I wish she was in Best Supporting, to be honest with you. I think she'd have a stronger chance of winning. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I saw a clip online the other day, and I thought she did do a really phenomenal job. She held her own and then some against Leonardo DiCaprio, who I have to say was also doing a tremendously good job. So I would love for her to win, although I think Emma Stone is a very strong competitor. Mimsy says, I've been watching you since the Watcher days. Oh, that's awesome, Mimsy. Thank you. Thank you for coming over here to my channel after seeing me on Marvel's channel. Vidtopia, I didn't see the Toxic Avenger Red Band trailer. That's not really for me. Oh, I see you, Scott. Don't put my cookie at risk. Let's see here. Noah Z says, what do you think about the Creator Rotten Tomatoes score? It's lower than I expected. Same here, Noah. I was really shocked about that. I hope audiences respond well to the film. Let's see what the audience score is like on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's see what the cinema score is like. I'm surprised so many people accuse the film of being shallow. It's not looking good for Gareth Edwards. I adored it. And I know a lot of other critics did too. I was really shocked at some of the reviews, particularly from some of the big trades. Let's see here. Marlon Wallace says, what has been your favorite movie trailer for Marvel? Oh, I guess the one for Civil War where Spider-Man showed up. That was really fun. That was a great trailer that everybody really got excited about. Those were back in the days when we didn't know every single thing that was going to happen in the movie. Carlos McKenzie says, do you think we'll ever see a Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne Batman Joker on the big screen? That would be great, Carlos. I think that would be awesome. Maybe someday on like some kind of show. But that, I think particularly Martha Wayne as the Joker, I thought was really clever. Delton Valentine says, with AMC in such poor financial shape, do you see smaller boutique theaters having a rise? I don't think it's not just the financial situation, but the quality of the experience. I really like going to boutique theaters myself. But I do like my AMC Dolby and IMAX. But yeah, I would love for boutique theaters to go on the rise. I would love for the theater experience to be better taken care of. Helen Keller says, this is the first time I've been up early enough in New Zealand to see the live. Oh, on a Saturday, no less, Helen. You must have a big day ahead of you, and thank you for the kind words. Sir Wyche Murtaza says, will Oppenheimer win? Do you mean like Best Picture? I don't know. I haven't seen all the contenders yet. There are a lot of movies coming out all of a sudden that are going to really shake things up. But I really liked, I think Oppenheimer has a good I think Oppenheimer will be nominated, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think Oppenheimer's going to win. And then Sana Sideup says, just saw the live and got so excited. I'm in Berlin on vacation and it's so fun. Many kisses and love from Germany. Oh, and thank you, Sana. I'm so glad you're having a good time in Germany. I've never been to Germany, but I'm glad to hear that you're having a good, fun time there. The Linda says, I think you're amazing, Grace. I perk up every time I get to see your streams and videos. Oh, what a nice thing to say, Linda. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Let's see. Trevor, thank you for gifting a membership. Thanks, Terry. That was very nice of you to say. Thank you. I love Lois Lane. All right, I better move to shout outs because I got to get off. I got to get off here. I have a hard out like in 2 or 3 minutes. So shout outs. What are you up to? What are you doing? Danny's wearing thumbholes in Chicago. Dr. Disney says, Grace, big fan of you for years. Thanks, Dr. Disney. Sebastian Pacheco says, I love the positivity that you radiate. Thank you. You guys are saying such nice things. Let's see here. So, B Sponge just got home from vacation. While Sophia says, movie recommendations for Halloween. Did you see Haunted Mansion? You should check that out starting October, I think, 4th on Disney+. Tedder Tot is going to drive in the beautiful Utah fall leaves, going for a drive in them. That sounds very nice. Nicholas Corinne is baking cookies. Oh, well, Alicia is on vacation as well, but in Paris. Thank you for all your work. Love you. Oh, Alicia, I'm so jealous. I'd love to be in Paris. It sounds like you guys are living your best lives. And thank you for popping in while you're on vacation. Let's see here. Diane Clark Sutton says hi from Southern California. Hi, Diane. You're near Disneyland. Frankenstein says, can Amazing Grace be your superhero name? I thought you were saying Amazing Race for a moment. That's like the same. That's very similar. I don't know. That's a religious thing. I don't think I could co-opt it for my superhero name. Lee S. says, about to eat stuffed peppers for dinner. Ooh, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, Orestes says, love from Greece. Hello. What a beautiful place to live. Caden says, in Pakistan, about to start my Disney animation marathon before Wish. Oh, how fun, Caden. That makes me more excited about Wish for some reason. W. Van says, hi from Cullowhee, North Carolina. Well, Aided Buffalo is cooking in their basement. That's an interesting way to cook. And Andrew says, Grace, you've given me inspiration to stay off sugar. Go stick to it. You can do it. You can cheat once a week. But don't go crazy because then you'll lose all your progress. But I've almost lost all the weight that I wanted to lose. I'm really shocked at it. I can't believe it. I never thought I would get down this low again. All from not eating sugar and carbs. Basically, you shouldn't eat carbs and sugar. And also, processed food. Don't eat processed food. Which is, I love fast food as much as the next person. But you can't eat it. And yep, Dem, as far as pasta goes, you can eat whole wheat pasta. But still sparingly. I basically am on the Mediterranean diet, for those of you who are wondering. Oh, I gotta go. I had a wonderful time talking to all of you. Thank you for joining me for a Friday stream. Thank you. I'm glad subscribers got to join in. And I will talk to all of you very soon. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you on Sunday for Movie Math. And then we're going to have a lot of fun next week. Okay, bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.